To achieve today is for you to understand that I went through everything that you're going through. I really want you to understand that I have been there. I have been through it. I know I'm out the other side, and it's easy for me to talk about it now it's happened, but it's important that you know the journey that I've been through. So I'll just wait another moment, see who else is coming on, and then we'll get going. Nikki, hello. Like I said at the beginning, you know, comment throughout if you want to, but I will answer those comments at the back end of the live, or in fact I'll answer them just by messaging answers, depending on how we go. Good. I'm in my house. I decided to do this inside my house so I get a good connection throughout. I know that my office can be a little bit inconsistent, and there's nothing worse than me talking away and all of a sudden the screen just goes whoop, and that's it. I could be halfway through. I feel like a waste of time. So I've just brought it into the house so I can guarantee a stronger connection. Okay. Just another moment and then I'm going to get going. We're nearly at the end of this year. Get into the next one. God, it's been a toughie. Okay, so I'll start. Like I said, I want to describe me before the condition ever happened. And then obviously into diagnosis, why that happened, why I went from being completely normal, not that we're not normal, but you know what I'm talking about, why I went from completely normal into this symptom, and then my journey through and out the other side. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about here today. Some people on here that I don't recognise, which is great, because I want you to get to know me a little bit more. And if you haven't seen my other videos, please go through the group and have a look, because I really do talk about this condition in another way. So hi Jane, hi Debbie, hi Claire. Okay, good to see you all on. Okay, so I'll get going. So when I am working with people, the first thing I do is I ask them to connect with me and then to book in for a consultation, which doesn't cost any money. Because I want to meet you, I want to talk to you, I want to find out what the story is, what's gone on, what's happened, why has this happened to you? Okay, so that doesn't involve anything for me apart from knowledge and wanting to meet you, to talk to you, to help you see there's another way of thinking out there. And when I talk to you, I ask you all about your character type, and I ask you all about who you were or what you were like before this condition ever came about. And 99% of the time it turns out that we are the Fast and Furious gang. You know, we do things at 100 miles an hour, we spin all those plates, we juggle all those balls. The majority of the people I work with are female. So you're juggling far more balls and spinning far more plates than you probably get recognition for. Bringing up families, full-time jobs, you know, just unbelievable the amount of pressure that you guys are under. So I need to find out what sort of a person you are. And with me, I was the exact same person. Okay? I was the 100 miles an hour, super driven. You know, do anything for anybody else. You know, no matter how busy I was, I used to work in retail. And I was a manager in retail. I loved it. It was my career. And, you know, when it came to Christmas or New Year, who'd be the one on call? Me. I'd put my name in the hat every time. Who'd be the one that got called out if it was burglaries or fridge breakdowns? Me. Because I'd be there all of the time. You know, who was the one that was going to come in and do those extra hours or stay on if someone phoned in sick? Me. If someone had a problem, who would they go and call? Me. Okay, because I would always say yes. I didn't understand what the word no was. I just loved it. I thrived. I thrived off being able to help other people. I thrived off the busyness. I thrived off of the 100 miles an hour, doing absolutely everything. Just incredible. Having super high standards. No one can do it as well as I can. And then I'd have a go at people and I'd say, what's wrong with you? Why can't you do it just like I can? We're both human. What I didn't realise is that we're at a sort of level, we're almost superhuman. What we can achieve in a day is what most people can achieve in a week. And I loved it. I thrived off of it. And I had a young family. I had my son, absolutely brilliant, my partner obviously, and life was great. Just absolutely riding the crest of the wave. Loved it. And then my partner was pregnant with our second. You know, delighted. Even more hours, get some more money in the bank. You know, we're going to have to make some changes to fit another one in. You know, but it was also exciting. Feet didn't even touch the ground. But then we went for our scan. And when we went for our scan, the person that did the scan said that there might be a bit of an issue. And we're like, okay, what's the story there then? And they said, we don't know, we might have to do more tests. Like, right, okay. So the weeks went by and we had to go back in again, and we had another test, and we were all thinking, what's going on? This is really strange. And they do the usual sort of chromosome test, and there's other tests they do just to make sure there's no Down syndrome and things like that. And all of a sudden we received a phone call from the hospital saying you need to come in. It's like, okay, it's a bit weird. So said to the people, well, I've got to go to an appointment. Sorry guys to let you down, but I've got to go. I'll pick it all up when I get back. And off I went to the hospital with my partner, and we walked into the room, and there were two ladies with that sort of tilted head, sort of counsellor sort of look on their faces. And we're like, everything okay? They said, yeah, would you like to just come in and sit yourself down? And they handed us a couple of leaflets, and we're looking at these leaflets, we're thinking, what's going on? They said, well, the tests have come back, and unfortunately the young baby has got a condition called IDIC-15. And IDIC-15 is a condition where chromosome 15 is duplicated. But unfortunately ours was quadruple duplicated, the worst possible case scenario. So of course devastation set in. Unfortunately we lost him, which was a real shame. Worst time of our lives. But with us being relatively religious, not that I bang on about religion and with anyone that I talk to, because that's not really professional, but this is about me. We're Catholic, so we wanted to do the right thing, so we wanted to bury. So we had a small service. I carried the coffin. I lowered the coffin into the ground, and we did the service. And then kind of that was it. We turned away and like tried to figure out what to do next, how to carry on. Of course, we had our young son, so he, obviously took our mind off things most of the time. So we decided about a week later to go down to the coast, down to the seaside, Dover, if you're over here. And we went down to Dover, and I saw some lovely chalk stones on the beach. Lovely pure white chalk stones. So I started collecting them because I thought they'd look really good around the grave. So I collected them up, and then we came back, and a day or two later I said, come on, let's go and put these around the grave now. We went to the cemetery, and I was on my hands and knees and I was putting the stones around the grave when all of a sudden my hand went bang, and I was like, oh my God. And the pain, I've never ever known anything like it in my life. I was on my hands and knees in the middle of the children's part of the cemetery, screaming at the top of my voice. The pain was just excruciating. Absolutely unbelievable. Okay, this was back in July 2014. Okay, the pain was just incredible. I said, phone an ambulance, something has happened. My tendons have snapped, something snapped inside. Real panic, real pain. She didn't call an ambulance. She said, get in the car, we'll go to the hospital. So we went to the hospital and I was in the waiting room. It was absolute agony. My fingers had all turned numb. I couldn't feel them. The palm of my hand was all horrible. All up here was just, the sensation was incredibly strong. It was almost like something was really, really pulling inside of my arm that was pulling my fingers shut. So of course I saw a couple of people whilst I was there. They had no answers. They were looking back at an old injury that I had 17 years earlier, where there's a scar on my arm. And I thought it was linked to that to begin with, to be honest. It must be. I've had something there before, so it must be a repercussion of this. It wasn't, but I didn't know that. So over the next few days, I started to get the feeling back again, the movement back again. My pincers came back first, and then one by one my fingers came back, and I got the feeling back again. I was like, how weird was that? Anyway, carry on with everything as normal. Okay, rebuilding, getting ourselves back up on to a better level, thinking about getting back into work. But then all of a sudden, 7 to 10 days later, bang! Oh my God, it's gone again. It's gone again, big time, really, really big time. And I was here in this kitchen on my hands and knees, screaming from the top of my voice. My neighbours must have thought it was something, there was a murder going on or something. It's terrible pain. I went back to the hospital again straight away. My poor son was being dragged back and forth. And they looked at it again. They made me further appointments, see neurologists. Neurologists were looking at it and everyone was umming and ahhing. No one had a clue what was going on. Well, of course, me being a fairly top level management level in my retail career, they started to ask questions of me. What's going on? Well, I don't know. Yeah, but you seem all right now. I do, yeah, you're right. I'll just carry on as normal. So I carry on physically running around the place and I try and get everything back to the speed I was before, when all of a sudden, bang, it would go again. And I'm like, this is just ridiculous. Now, I hadn't had a day off sick for 13 years. All of a sudden I'm phoning in sick. I can't drive. Can't do anything. Okay? My right hand, I'm right-handed. You know, I can't type on the computer effectively, rubbish with my left hand, shaving, brushing my teeth, all of those things that you do with your one hand, which I found impossible because all my fingers just were numb and in terrific pain. So as time went by, this started to be every 7 to 10 days, roughly every 7 to 10 days, round about that time. And it became sort of quite periodic, maybe. But every time my hand got better, I would go back up to the 100-mile-an-hour zone. Okay? And I would then go, right, it's okay, guys, I'm back today, feeling great. And I would put in the hours, I'd do this, I'd do that. I'd overstress myself again. And what would happen? Over the next few days, bang, it would go again. And I was just getting so afraid of what was going on here. The doctors, the neurologists, no one knew what was happening. No one knew what was happening. They're just scratching their head. I don't know, never seen this before. This is crazy. Okay, are you sure it's not this injury? And then they're like, no, we don't think it's related. Everything's fine with the tendons. Everything's fine with the nerves. They've done scans, MRIs, everything. Nothing to show. What's going on? Absolute madness. So I'm starting to lose confidence because I'm not able consistently to do what I can do at work that I've always done. My managers are starting to question my ability. I've never had my ability questioned. I've always been top notch. But now I'm getting my ability questioned. It started to get me stressed. And the more stressed I got, bang, the more this would happen. So I ended up having an argument with my manager, who just was being really horrible about the whole thing. And I said, do you know what? I'm out of here. I'm walking out. And he said, you can't do that. I said, you watch me. I'm going. Okay, so I'm his assistant manager. Okay, he's the manager of the store. I'm the assistant manager. And I'm walking out. Okay, because he's making me feel so bad. I don't know what's going on. My confidence has gone through the floor. So I've walked out. And I phoned my doctor straight away, shaking like this in my car, because I've never done that before. And I got an appointment immediately, and I went to my doctors and I said, I can't cope. I can't cope. I don't know what's going on with my hand. Everything's being pressured on me at work. I just feel like the whole world is on top of me. And he said, right, I'm signing you off for 6 weeks. And during that 6 weeks, well, nothing really changed. I still had the massive spasms happening every week or 10 days. It'd still take 3 or 4 days to get better until I got full movement back. And then I'd go back to doing whatever I could around the house, in the garden, whatever. And then bang, it would go again. No idea what's going on. The hospital, still no idea. And this went on and on and on and on. And this went on for 10 months. 10 months. Okay? Ridiculous. I had focal hand dystonia put as the diagnosis. And they said, do you want Botox in your arms? I'm like, what the hell do I want Botox for? You crazy? They're not wrinkled. I didn't know what Botox was. So, in the March of 2015, I had my last spasm in my hand. March 2015. There or thereabouts. And I thought, that's it. 10 days went by. 15 days went by. 20 days went by. It's not happening. It's gone. It's gone. Thank goodness for that. Whew. Don't know what it was. I don't know why it was there. But it's bloody gone. And I'm so happy. But then in the May 2015, my eyes started. I started to, as I looked down, my eyes started to shut. Like, whoa, what's all that about? I looked down, my eyes start to shut. What do most blokes do when they're looking down? Right, they're in the toilet. It can get a bit embarrassing when you look down, your eyes shut. Okay, but it started happening. Why, what the hell is going on here? And it started to get worse. But I didn't. I just thought I've got something wrong with my eyes. I thought it must be something something to do with the weather or something. No idea. So what do we normally do, us people? We battle through, don't we? We just carry on. And I just carried on, and I started to get really irritable and itchy and dry, and I'd be rubbing them. Oh my God, it's just terrible. It just seemed like all the moisture was sucked out of them. And I started putting loads of moisturisers and creams. I was going getting drops to put in. Nothing was helping. I was taking extra vitamins as well. Nothing seemed to help. So eventually, in probably the May sort of time, I went to, no, it wasn't June, I went to my doctors and I said, look, what's going on? You're the doctor, what's going on with my eyes? And he said, oh Neil, I'll tell you what, you've got the worst case of conjunctivitis I think I've ever seen. Here's some antibiotics, here's some drops that you need to take, and that should be right as rain in a week or two. Conjunctivitis, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? Brilliant, oh my God, why hasn't anyone else in my family got it? We've all been using the same towels. Strange. Anyway, I'll go with that. But nothing changed. Everything still carried on the same. And then I started to notice, because the weather was getting good, and I started to notice as I was driving, the sun coming in the windows, I really struggled to keep my eyes open with that sun coming in. Okay, I'd almost be driving like this. Yeah, so I'd be pushing my forehead up to keep my eyes open so I could carry on driving. And I didn't understand what was going on. It was horrible. So I went to my opticians on a journey one day with my family, and I said, I'm going to go to the opticians as we're passing. And I went in, I said, have you got any sunglasses that clip on to your glasses? Because I'm really struggling. And I'd never worn sunglasses before in my life, never. So he said, try these, and I clipped them on and I thought, oh, they're great, brilliant, thanks very much. And I got back in my car and I started driving, and I could drive in the sun. Happy days, I was delighted. And I carried on driving, and as the days went by, even that started not to work anymore. Didn't work anymore. I'd put them on and my eyes would still shut down. What's going on? This is ridiculous. So I went back to my optician and said, what's wrong with my eyes? I said, every time I go and do something, they shut down on me. And he said, well, to me, it looks like you've got a severe case of hay fever. They're very irritable, so you need to take these drops and this will clear all of that up for you. Hay fever, okay. I've got asthma, I've got eczema. Hay fever goes with those. I get that. That makes sense. I take these drops, but my eyes seem to get worse taking them. They get even more irritable taking them. Well, I found out later that it has an adverse reaction, unfortunately. But I wasn't getting anywhere. I wasn't getting anywhere at all. And I battled on for virtually a full year. Battled on, just getting through life, going around work, you know, going around pulling cages of stock, talking to customers, opening up the building, closing the building, tripping over, bumping into things, tripping over things as I'm pulling cages along. That's a ton of stock that I could have had down on top of me. Okay. I was walking into customers, it was a nightmare. And when I was sitting in the office at the computer, that was tough enough. But when someone came in to talk to me, I'd almost have to pull my forehead back to the back of my head to be able to see them, because I couldn't look at them without my eyes shutting down. I found my head starting to pull down at this point as well. So when I was walking along, I found I was just looking at the floor because it was more comfortable than looking up. And as time went by, it started pulling down even harder and harder and harder. And if you've seen my video on this group of me driving, you can see how horrendous that was. And that was around about August 2016 that video was taken. But when I got to July 2016, I took a 6-month sabbatical. I took a 6-month break from work. I couldn't do it anymore. I hated the job. I couldn't do what I've always done. So I stepped away. I took 6 months off. It was paid, so I wasn't worried about any pressure. I'd earned that. I'd worked for them for 25 years. So I took the time off. And I wanted to throw myself into my therapy work that I've been doing side by side my work in management. But as soon as I left my work, my eyes shut down even more. The symptoms got worse and worse and worse. I was struggling to see people. They would be sitting there and I'd be sitting here like this. What a great looking therapist that is, hey? Ridiculous, isn't it? I would be doing that when I'm talking to my partner and she'd say, am I far away from you? I was like, don't, please don't. But I had to hold my eyebrows up so I could talk. When I was driving, I'd have like my thumb and my forefinger like this, holding my eye open, so I could drive. My arm was on the side there. That's how I drove. Very dangerous. But we do what we do, don't we? We battle through. That's who we are. So August 2016, we went away on holiday for a few weeks. And we went to Slovakia. That's where my partner's from. And it's great, it's lovely and hot. But of course, different territory. The traffic's on the other side of the road, so I get very confused about which way to look. I couldn't get my eyes open enough to see where the cars were coming from. My partner would be walking along with her family, talking to them, and forget about me. Next thing, I'm straight into a lamppost or over the bonnet of a car, or into a tree. All common occurrences. Those of you with blepharospasm will know all about it. And then I was in a playground with my son, and he was playing with his cousin, and all of a sudden he said, Dad, come here, come here. So I got up off the bench and I got myself up to see where I needed to go, and I put my head down and started walking. Well, there was almost a massive bang as my head hit the metal bar in the playground. And it's a hollow metal bar against my skull. So it was quite loud, actually. And it felt like everyone just stopped and looked at me. And I felt so embarrassed. I just felt like I just wanted the world to open up and suck me in at that point. So embarrassed. I got upset. I started crying. I was really, I just wanted to go home then. Just get me home or get me to the pub if I wanted to go. I could just sit down, my back against the wall and just have a beer and forget about what happened. So I said to my partner, I said, look, we've got to find out what the hell this is. This is just ridiculous. So she started scanning the internet and she said, here, look at this. There's a video about this thing called whatever that is. And I was like, blepharospasm. No idea, never heard of it. So I watched this video and it's of a lady, she's got sunglasses on. She's sitting in a comfortable chair inside her house and she's talking about blepharospasm and the symptoms that she's going through. And I was like, this is me. This is exactly what's happening to me. My eyes shut down in the sun. My eyes shut down when I'm walking. My eyes shut down when you're talking to me. This is exactly the same. And I was shocked. So we started looking into blepharospasm a little bit more. And the more we looked into it, the more I realised that this is what I've got. So when we came home from Slovakia, I went to my doctors and I said, you need to refer me to a neurologist because I've got a pretty big condition here, I know. And he said, what is it? I said, it's this thing called dystonia, it's blepharospasm. He said, I've heard of blepharitis, but not blepharospasm, but okay, we'll refer you on. And he knew my history, obviously. So I got referred to a neurologist, and this was to be in October 2016. And I said, no, that's too long. Who can I go to that's private? So we started looking at the internet, and Dr. Marion came up. She's in London, studying dystonia for 30 years. She's the person I'm going to. Made an appointment. She got me in pretty quick, which I was really happy about. So I went in on the Monday, and she's a lovely French lady. I didn't see her. I saw her feet. I couldn't get my head up to look at her. So I saw her feet that day. She said that I'm clearly very ill. And she was talking about blepharospasm. She wasn't quite sure which side of blepharospasm I fell on. But she said, look, I want you to get up onto my treatment couch. We'll get some Botox in those eyelids and let's see if we can get those eyes open. And I was like, Botox? Okay, all right, I'll do anything. So I got up onto the bed, or the couch, or whatever you want to call it. And all I saw as I was lying there was this hand coming in at me with this needle. And as soon as that needle touched my eyelid, oh my word, I freaked out. I had a total panic attack. My chest was going in and out really violently. My partner was getting really scared. My son, who was there, was getting really scared. So she told everyone to get out of the room, So everyone left and it was just me and her, and she calmed me down. And she said, this isn't good enough. This can't happen. And I'm like, oh, sorry. Looks like I've got a phobia of needles. Therapist with a phobia of needles, eh? So she said, what we're going to do is I'm going to prescribe you Valium. I want you to come back in 2 days' time on the Wednesday, take the Valium, and then about a half an hour later we'll do the shots. So I took the prescription, paid £245 for the half an hour, and off I went. Now, I went and got the Valium from the pharmacy, but on my way home, I think this is the lowest point I was at. Because on the way home, I knew that even if I took the Valium this time, the next time I'd freak out. And I knew that you'd have to have these injections every 3 months or so. I knew from what I'd been told there's no cure for this condition. Shocking. I had my son. I now had a baby daughter. So we had another baby, which is an absolute blessing. I have 2 elder sons as well. So I've got 4 children and a dad who's useless. Can't even kick a football. Can't play cricket. Can't play golf. can't even run around without falling over or bumping into something. Unreal. And at that point, I thought to myself, what's my purpose here? What is my purpose? Because I couldn't see one. And thankfully my partner is quite strong. So she said, Neil, your brain brought this on, so your brain can take this away. You just need to find out how to do it, because you're the bloody therapist. And I looked at her and I thought, all right, I'll get to work. And when we came home, I went straight into my office and I started working. Hold on, I need to take a drink. So I came home, I went to my office and I started working. I got all my books out, all of my knowledge, everything, all of my assignments. And I started looking through all of my things to try and find out a way of how I could get my eyes open, so when I stood up and looked straight ahead, they'd be open, like this. So I kind of found a few bits that I put together that I thought would work, and I recorded my first ever hypnotherapy audio, which was shocking, has to be said. But I listened to the audio. I was sitting there on my couch and I was listening to it and I drifted off a little bit. And when I opened my eyes at the end of it, I sat there like this. And I looked around my room and I thought, my bloody eyes are open. My eyes are open. What? And I came straight in here. My office is just next door. I came straight in here to my partner and I said, look, my eyes are open. Now she's taller than me, okay? So I had to look up at her to say my eyes are open. Those of you with blepharospasm will know full well how hard that is. And I went, look. And she went, I told you you could do it. And it was only a few minutes later that they all shut down again. But that minute, those moments, I had a light bulb go on. Okay? And the light bulb was, I can get my eyes open. Okay? I can get my eyes open. I did it. I looked up. I looked straight at you. You were talking to me and my eyes weren't shutting. I didn't think I could ever do that again. And although they shut down a few moments later, in a way it didn't bother me, because the amount of energy that was going through me, well, I knew I could do it. I knew from that moment onwards that the no cure diagnosis I was given was rubbish. I knew that because they opened. Why would they open? They shouldn't open. But they did. So at that very moment in time, I didn't believe the no cure diagnosis. I didn't believe you're going to have this for the rest of your life. My focus from that point onwards was, I'm going to get away from this. I'm going to get better from this. I haven't got a clue how, but I'm going to get better. And I knew it just by those few moments that I got my eyes open. It was proof. And that's all the proof I needed. So I started my journey in August 2016. I went back on the Wednesday to see Dr. Marion, and already by then I'd managed to calm myself down enough to be able to look at her. And yes, it was hard, my head was pulled in and I had to do a bit of this, but I was able to see her this time and she said, what have you done? What's different? And I explained what I did and she went, that's incredible. Do you think you can do this with other people? And I went, I don't know. And she went, I want you to go and try. And that's where this started for me. So I got hold of a load of people in a blepharospasm group. 6 people in all. That was 4, sorry, 6 people in all. And I started working with them on the phone. There was no audio, there was no video. It was all on audio. And I was doing hypnotherapy with them, basic form. And their eyes were changing in places. They were getting better. I was getting good results. They weren't opening fully, they weren't recovering, but they were getting better. I then went to a Dystonia meeting, because we dive into the condition, don't we? We join all of the groups. You know, I joined all of these groups for blepharospasm. 10,000 people on this one, 5,000 people on that one. This is great. I've got all these people that know exactly what I'm going through. So I dived in there. Hi, I'm Neil. I've just been diagnosed with blepharospasm. Oh, we send you our prayers, all this sort of thing. I dived into it, even though I'd had that aha moment. What I had to do was dive out of it, but it just happened really, because I started being positive. I started to say, you can get your eyes open, you are going to be able to do this. And the admins would go, right, you're out, you're out, you're out, you're talking crap, you're a fraud, whatever it might be. And that's why I created this group, so that I could change the dynamics of this condition and make it more positive instead of totally negative all of the time. Which for many people it is. I've been there, I remember, but it's important that we have somewhere to go that's positive. So that's why I've done it. So I start my journey. I start working with other people, even though I was nowhere near changed myself. And I was learning off others. Others were learning from me. And then bit by bit, as time went on, I'd get snippets of my eyes opening up. I'd be in my garden. There's a video of me with a blue and white t-shirt on, of me standing in my garden saying, look, the sun's out, my eyes are open. Okay? And whenever I got those little moments, I'd record them. Look, I'm changing, it's happening, I'm recovering, I'm doing it. I still had a long way to go. But I'm saying it, I'm doing it, I'm doing it, I'm doing it. My belief was so strong that I was going to recover. I didn't know how long it was going to take. I had no idea. I had lots of ups and lots of downs. Okay? And when I work with people, we talk about trying to get some consistency in there. But I had lots of peaks. Yes, yeah, feeling great today. And lots of troughs. Feel like crap today. Really angry days. Symptoms would be far worse. My eyes would be down. My head would be pulling down strong. But then on those good days where I felt relaxed, my head was more up. It was better. Although lots of things were a struggle. I couldn't look into a cupboard, for example. I couldn't get the head angle. I couldn't look into a cupboard if you paid me to, because I couldn't get my head up enough to do it. But there were changes happening, bit by bit by bit. As I said in one of my last videos, cracks in this condition, proving that it doesn't have to be there all the time. And all the while, talking on this group, making videos, letting others know that you can do it too, even though I hadn't done it myself. I hadn't done it. You look at my early videos, I wasn't recovered. Okay? But I was there, positive. We can do it, we can do it, we can do it. And as my knowledge grew, I started to understand what was going on. I looked back at why this began. I looked back at before this began. What was I like? I was an absolute maniac, tearing around the place at 100 miles an hour. No one could keep up with me. No one could achieve what I can achieve. I was at such a high level. And then I had the massive trauma of losing my son. And I went over the edge. I went over my tolerance. I'm only human. And when I went over the tolerance, the subconscious part of my brain was like, whoa! And it did something. It hit me hard where it hurts. My right hand. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't write. I couldn't drive. I couldn't type. I couldn't do anything. Shaving was really hard. Getting dressed was really hard. The frustration, the anger that I was going through. If only now. Or even if only then I knew what I know now. Because I knew that I wouldn't have struggled. I would have just gone, oh, there's a problem. I've got to change something. It's obvious I've had a trauma. For many people it's a layering of stresses and then they tip over. Okay? But we have to recognise why that is. And then take action. Slow it down. Change how you do things. Change how you are. Change the speed you're going at. I realised I can't fight this. Because it's just going to fight back harder. The more I fought it, the more it came back, the more my eyes would shut down, the more my head would go down. I was looking at all this Dystonia warrior thing going, yes, I'm warrior, I'm fighting this. No, this isn't a fight. It's a relationship that needs to build. It's the subconscious part of your brain and your conscious part of your brain needs to build together. And all of the changes that I've made over this time, I've thankfully, touched wood, cabinets behind you. Okay, I have been recovered now for just over 2 years, totally recovered. Nothing now, anywhere. I can look in any cupboard I want to, I can hold my eyes open as much as any person that hasn't got this condition can. But it took a lot of learning, and my journey took a long time, nearly 2 years to get my eyes open. But I had to believe I could do it in the first place. I had to believe I can do it. And then I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what the journey looked like. I couldn't see the wood for the trees. But as time went by, as I learnt to slow down, as I understood the connection between the conscious and the subconscious mind, I realised that it's actually trying to tell me something. It's trying to tell me there's a problem. And all of this time I've been fighting it, but all it's doing is saying, hey, there's a problem. You just need to listen to me. And once I actually understood that, then the recovery happened quicker. Okay, the penny dropped, the light bulbs came on. I have to change. I can't be the 100 miles an hour person anymore. I can't be the best of the best. I can't be the perfectionist. I can't be the one that's always there. Not anymore. That part of my life has gone. And I spent so long trying to get back to who I was before this began. When what I should have done, and what I teach people, is we have to let go of that because this has happened, and we have to create ourselves into our future. Your future you. It's not going to be the same as the old you. If you go back to being the same as the old you, what can happen again? Bang! Straight over the top again. And your subconscious mind doesn't forget. You go through massive trauma, it's going to bring about the same sort of symptoms again. So when you put the changes in place and you come down those levels, even if you do get stressed, you don't go over that level. So the subconscious part of your brain doesn't have to remind you. It's a long journey. And when people start working with me, they want to know how long it is until they recover. So like 3 weeks time, do you think? 4 weeks time, maybe at a push? Yesterday, maybe? And it doesn't work that way. We have to go through a life change. First of all, you have to accept and understand why this happens, which is why I do my free consultation at the beginning. Okay? Because we have to understand why this happened, the root cause. Then we have to work into your future. And it takes time. It takes commitment. But just like me, you can do it too. I'm not punching above my weight. You're not punching above your weight. Because we're the same people. We're all the same. We're the top end. Okay, we're the A-types. So if I can do it, you can do it too. Except I had to do it on my own. You've got support all the way through. I totally understand what you're going through. I totally understand the pain, the stress, the helplessness, the frustration, the anger. I understand every single part of it because I've lived it. And when I was right in the depth of that, could I actually see myself recovered? Sometimes no. But I guess I'm a stubborn bugger. And I would dust myself down and I'd go, come on, you're going to do this. you're going to recover. Okay? And you do it. You get there. And there are a lot of people here that have recovered. Okay, from cervical dystonia, blepharospasm, focal hand dystonia. Okay? Because you can do it. But you have to, one, believe you can, two, be willing to put the work and effort in. Okay? You can't just keep going on the same way as you always have. You have to commit to change. Okay? You have to put the white flag up and say, alright, okay, you win. Okay? I'm going to change. I'm going to do it. And then do it. And we work with the brain to create change. But it's all of the work that you put in that makes it all happen. It's when that penny drops, it's when that light bulb comes on, where you realise that it's only you that can get yourself better. It's only you. And your brain brought this on because it was a warning. It was a warning that you'd just gone too far. You'd gone over the top of your threshold. Wherever that threshold is, you've gone over it. And you've got to think of this like, if you have a car crash, right, and you damage your back so you cannot walk. Okay, we've seen it on films, haven't we? You cannot walk. And then all of a sudden, as you're going through your rehabilitation and you start getting up onto your feet with those parallel bars and you walk those first few steps, okay? And then you sit back down in your chair again and that's it for today. We're going to try again tomorrow. Well done. That person's belief is that they're going to walk again. That person's belief is that they have to put a lot of effort in to get again. They're never going to walk again if they just sit there all day and think, well, you know, has it happened yet? Of course not. You've got to do it. You've got to make it happen. So that person, day by day, week by week, month by month, will walk further and further until eventually they're able to 2 feet and walk. And this is what we do here. You have to give yourself time. Remember who we are. We're the sort of people that put pressure on ourselves. We're the sort of people that want things done yesterday. It's not acceptable, is it? We wouldn't expect that off anyone else, but we expect it off of ourselves. So opening up a bit of space, time, patience, love for yourself. I think one of the most important things that I did during my recovery was falling in love with myself. And that's not standing in front of the mirror going, hey, look at me. No, I mean building the relationship between my conscious mind and my subconscious mind. Building it, understanding it, acknowledging its messages, respecting it, doing what it's saying I need to do. Never giving myself a hard time. Are we not our own worst critics? Tell me. We are, aren't we? If there's anyone that's going to give you a hard time, it's you. And when I start working with people on these programs that I do, it's one of the biggest things I talk about. There's no pressure. Take your time. Okay? Do not give yourself a hard time. Build your relationship. And every time I get, well, you know, I see no change yet. Pardon? No, there's no change. My eyes aren't open, my head's not up. Okay, that's not important. What changes have you made in your life this week? Well, you know, I haven't really had that much time. Really. So if I can finish shortly on a note and sow a seed into your own minds that I want you all to go away and think about. And whoever watches this whenever, because this is recorded too. The only person that can recover you is you. Not the doctors, not the neurologists, not Dr. Farias, okay? Not all these different people around the world. The only person in the world that can recover you is you. I have all of the tools to give you to enable you to do that, and I'm right with you across your whole journey. But you're the only one that can do it. And you have to take responsibility for that and own it. And anything that doesn't go right, you've got to own that. Anything that does go right, own that and celebrate that. I knew from that very first time that I'll get my eyes open and I get my life back. And I've done it. And yeah, it's emotional talking about all of this. I've never done this before. But I've done it. And I've recovered. And whoever's out there in the world that will say, well, it can't have been dystonia in the first place, can't have been blepharospasm in the first place, I don't care. Because all those people that I've worked with that have recovered, what, they didn't have a diagnosis either? They didn't have it? Just fluke? You have to understand your brain is there to protect you and look after you. If something's going wrong, it's its job to let you know, consciously. And when you listen consciously and you do what it's asking you to do, the brain then lets go. And however long that takes, I don't care. You shouldn't care. It doesn't matter. But the process will lead you to recovery. Okay? But you have to own it. You're not committing to me, you're committing to you. And if that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned, then that's that. You have to be committed to you. You've got to have your own back. Okay. Whew. Wow. Okay, I think I'm going to pretty much leave that there. I certainly hope I've given you enough to be thinking about. Those that are working with me who might have lost your mojo a bit, then pick it up. Because no one else can do it but you. The longer you leave it, the longer you're wasting your time. And remember, we've only got one shot at the title. We've only got one life, okay? It's being messed around by lots of other people around the world anyway. There's no point you messing it around too. So get on with your recovery. Because you deserve that, right? Okay. Right. I'm going to go. Fancy a glass of wine, actually. So I'm going to go. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining. I hope I covered everything. I think I did. But please put your comments on here. And if you want to ask me questions personally, then do that. You know, anyone on here that's worked with me will tell you, you know, I have all of the time in the world for anybody. And that's not because I'm the same as I used to be. I just realised that we need time to understand and learn. And then once you start learning, it's about getting those changes into place. Okay? So please, if you want to talk, then let's talk. Okay? Comment on here or private message me on Facebook Messenger. Whatever you want to do. But it's worth talking about it. It's worth seeing the other side. Okay? The reason why we get prescribed Botox and medication and DBS and all things like that, and we find that nothing works. Things help, of course, but it all wears off, right? And the reason that is because there's nothing wrong with you. Yeah, do an MRI, there's nothing there. And if there is something there, it's been there for years. It's nothing to do with this condition. Okay, it's your subconscious mind telling you there's something wrong. It's knocking on your conscious mind's door. It's just most of us choose not to answer the door, and that's the problem. Okay, so please get in contact. I think I'm going to have a cry actually. Anyway, let's leave it where it is. So thank you very much for coming on. Anyone's got any questions, contact me, please do. And yeah, love to everyone out there. You know, this condition is just that. It's just a condition. It's not a disease. It's not something you need to live with for the rest of your life. It's something that when we hit the nail on the head, it goes. Okay? So have belief in yourself that you can do it. Okay?